looking at this dude's background, what is he wrestling? Do I even want to know?
I don't know. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
is he like wrestling like goats and shit in his backyard? Like, I
Well,
don't know. Look at that. Look at the background. Like,
the
look, this.
purple.
I don't know. Like, and the little like cartoon shit in the back, and then this don't feel like wrestling to me. Or
Yeah,
as my
yeah.
dad says, wrestling. This ain't. Oh, go watch some wrestling. Hey man, he's grew up a little bit and down in Kentucky. He's got that as my that side of the family, so they got that hillbilly in him. So
Oh, oh wow, wow. Well, the premise of this is there's it's an article in Business Insider, and this guy basically quit medical school because he was making enough money commentating and doing videos on wrestling. Um, and and I thought it'd be interesting to get your take on it from a career standpoint, and maybe something about the future of like how this dynamic where people are making a lot of money doing things that maybe in the past we wouldn't think you could make a lot of money doing. But what he does, James, is he literally they make videos on old WWE, WWF videos, I think.
huh. Yeah, just FYI, if you're gonna do the wrestling, then you also got to say Mercedes Benz, not Mercedes. You got to do Mercedes Benz, and then you put clothes in the washer. So there's a whole like vocabulary that comes with that. Yeah, kind of that. It ain't just that side of my family, but there's other people from
Got it.
different parts of the country. But if you get the Mercedes Benz down, and then you know, it sounds like my old
Washer.
side of the fan. Washer. Gotta throw my clothes in the wash. What the fuck is a washer? Like, yeah, it's just like stuff you just get used to.
Oh man.
But as a wrestling fan, it's I mean it's interesting that you think I was going to med school, right? Is that what the top thing
Yeah.
said?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
My question is like, what kind of med school? You can do one of those like med schools like outside the country, and it's
Mhm.
like not the. I had someone explain this to me. I don't remember the whole conversation, but you can go to these med schools that aren't like the U.S. med schools, and you can try to like backdoor your way in.
Mhm.
You're still a legitimate doctor, but it's like you couldn't get into. I don't know. I hate saying regular med school because I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. So was he going to, University of Michigan med school and he dropped out, or was he doing one of these other? So that's where I would like. That's where my mindset would go first. Is like, well, A, what kind of med school did you give up? And then two, was he succeeding in med school or was he getting bounced out? And it's like my thought is if you're going to a good med school and you were doing well, do you give that up for this? Um,
Yeah. True.
these are my questions that I evaluate everybody by. I always try to seek the truth, whether it's something I want to believe or not. I look at somebody and say, well, what really got you here?
Yeah.
Or was it really the thought that you could make this much money doing something you love online, or did you know you had to find something else to do, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not bagging on the guy. So, um, so he says medicine wasn't his calling in life. Fair enough.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's I mean, we all know people that dropped out of med school, that dropped out of law school, and said they didn't love it. A lot of people I know that went down that route, they just weren't doing very well, and then maybe that's just because they weren't interested in it. So, what I'm saying is, if you're doing well in med school, maybe stay in med school because I think the world needs more doctors than we need YouTube entertainers.
Yeah. Great point.
That's kind of where I'm. I don't want to bag on the dude. It's not my point. It does get concerning that people are kind of going more and more away from the shit we need in this world to survive, and going this route. And as we see now, like we got a doctor shortage, we got a nurse shortage, we got shortages everywhere, and it's back to the other conversation we had. What's the UK poll? I said, yeah, I
Uh,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the UK where they polled kids and asked them, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And their number one thing was YouTuber. And if you remember that conversation or that episode, at first I was thinking we're screwed. Like, instead of people going to be researchers and trying to like solve cancer and like fixing these issues and like doctors, like the shit that we really need, people want to be YouTubers now. And then we talk about the shit that you got to deal with in this world, especially if you go work in the corporate world, but you got to deal with in the corporate world. What do you have to deal with every day with your like coworkers, or if you start a business, try running a business right now, Kane, it's nearly impossible. You can't find workers.
Right.
You start processing all that, and it's like, do I want to deal with all that shit, or do I want to make videos on YouTube for 14 grand a month?
Yeah.
And it's just, the world is a lot different than it was, let's say, 20 years ago, where maybe it was more appealing to be a doctor back then. When I look at what my own family, when my mom had cancer, the amount of shit she gave the doctor every time because of what she read on the fucking internet.
Yeah.
I don't know how the doctor even shows up to work anymore. Could you imagine seeing patient after patient after patient after patient that just wants to argue with you all fucking day because they got some medical advice from Reddit?
Yeah.
The internet's made shit more complicated, and I know at times getting information has probably saved lives from when doctors make mistakes. There's definitely a benefit there, but is it just less attractive to do anything at that level anymore because dealing with people such a pain in the ass? I don't know. It's I get why you want to do this. It's probably more fun than having to be in the real world all day dealing with this shit. But if everyone ends up becoming a YouTuber, what the hell are we gonna do?
Right. Right. When I saw this change, and kind of as you're speaking, I thought on it a little bit more. But what does this mean for like the what used to be the ambition, or like if you think about like rock stars with music, and rap stars and hip hop stars, and then even sports stars, like that used to be the grail of where kids would want to spend their time or invest their childhoods, like learning a skill to try and do that. But if YouTubers now are the celebrities of this time, like do we start to lose out on does music quality start to diminish, and do we get fewer sports stars? And just wonder what it all means long term.
I think long term we're just screwed.
Yeah.
But it's also a byproduct of how complex the world has become, and it's just these things that people probably want to do, they end up becoming turnoffs. It's who doesn't want to like try to avoid the drama and the hassle of the world,
Yeah.
and make
Yeah.
money from home? So there's and you feel like music's it's not as great as it used to be. It feels like the level of sports competition doesn't seem to feel like it used to. Maybe it is, but I think people are putting their energies into different places now. I was watching a guy that I forgot his name. I'm working on a Halloween track, and I was trying to find a new way to do something. I just got Ableton 11. I upgraded from, I think I had 9, and I think he said that people kept asking why they don't ever see his name on like producer credits or produced by. And he's just like, look, I make more money doing these videos than I would as a producer.
Wow.
I think he had like 800,000 or 900,000 followers, subscribers, and this dude's pumping out videos all the time, tutorials. I can't even fucking pronounce it. Live streams. I think he gets money. I think you can get those, like, you can get money during the live streams, those little badge things or something. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I don't even gotta fuck with that. I make more money just doing this. unless you're like a super big time producer. But I think for the average Joe producer, if you got a YouTube channel with 6, 7, 800,000 subscribers and a loyal audience, you probably make a hell of a lot more money just doing that than you would trying to get placements in the music industry. So, to your point, you're right. Like things do end up suffering because but some of the really talented people get siphoned off into other things.
Yeah.
We need more doctors though, and then I don't know if we need more wrestling videos.
I think I'd agree with you there.
I think it's cool for him. I'm like, you found a way out, man. Hell yeah. You don't got to go deal with the bullshit, and you got the money, and you're doing what you enjoy right now. The problem is, it's like what happens when we don't have the people to do the shit that we need to do.
Yeah, I think the other thing, I don't know if you want to dive into it, James, but like a lot of the times when people like they become kind of viral sensations, or they stumble on something that they didn't expect, like maybe this case here, like do they have the I mean, you can speak to this better than anyone, but like, do they have the fundamental business skill to like make it sustainable? Because what happens when people stop watching wrestling videos, and then you've dropped out of medical school years ago, you don't have a sustainable business, you haven't diversified your revenue streams. Like, do people even think that far ahead?
I mean, I'm sure somebody does. It doesn't seem to me that many do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's if you're doing this and you're 25 years old, do you think you're going to be able to do this for 40 years?
Right.
The world's going to change so much in 40 years. You kind of ride it for as long as you can, and you enjoy it for as long as you can. And I think certain channels will have longevity. I think most won't, because there'll be so much new content coming up that you get drowned out. At some point, there's so much content created, there's not enough time in the day to consume it all.
Right.
And then, I think we're headed towards that path at some point. Because one of those things that's like, do you want to be 45 years old, your YouTube channel's not making any more money, you dropped out of med school, now what are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah, at least 20 more years to go before let's say you lived at 85. Did you make enough money by 45 to live for the next 40 years? Maybe. Maybe. Like, I mean, I appreciate the going all in, and he's making money right now. Hopefully he makes enough money in the, next 5 or 10 years. You hope his channel keeps thriving, right? It's not just them, though. It's like everybody. There's some channels that got these really large followings and they're probably going to last for a while. I think others are going to come and go. But what do you do when you're 48 years old and you need money and you put out as a YouTuber? Like, the value in that type of shit, and if you're a digital creator, they're looking at like 20-year-olds.
Right.
People aren't fucking around with 50-year-olds when it comes to like digital content and stuff. So
it's true.
You don't even want to get your financial advice from a 50-year-old. People go on TikTok and they're getting advice from some guy day trading, at like 22 years old or some shit. You don't even want to listen to the people that have been around trading for fucking 30 years anymore. Yeah, I don't think people think about the whole thing. It's we'll figure it out when we get there. It's just you realize how you don't know how hard it is going to be to try to figure it out at 45, 50 years old. For some of these people, maybe this guy's got it figured out, but I think
hopefully
a lot of people are going to end up shit. You won't even have Walmart greeters in 20 years. There'll be a robot out there.
Yeah.
The thing is, you won't even be able to get a fucking job when you're 50, right? By the time you get there, and all those low-level jobs that you think you could just go get, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to like jack a register at McDonald's anymore. It's an iPad.
Easy times. Yeah.
For sure. All BS aside, it is inspiring though. This dude grinded it out.
I agree.
He just kept going. Even 18 months to finally reach 400 fans, and the dude just kept grinding, and he made it happen. And there's that meme that goes around. I mentioned in another episode that's you'll spend 20 years working at corporate America, busting your ass, going into the office 5 days a week to like finally get a shot at making it. But you give up on your YouTube channel after 6 videos.
Mhm.
because
Yep.
you didn't instantly blow up, and it's like, you know, the things we do all day, the old way used to be, you spend 15, 20 years to become a, director somewhere, for example. It's why did you think you were just going to blow up on YouTube in 6 months? It's,
Yeah.
people just think they're everyone special. And wasn't it that Steve Jobs fucking commencement speech where he's like, "You're not special"?
Right. I think so. Yeah.
Shit, everyone needs to hear that at least 5 times, because that's what the world feels like. When you put some content out there and you get like 2 views and they can't understand why. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
go grind like everybody else and give yourself a chance. Otherwise, good luck. That's all I got for this one. Good for this dude. Hope he's making money. Sounds like he's making money. Another inspirational story.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, I'll catch you.